In the Jeffersonville town square, more than 500 tightly gathered in oppressive heat, eager to see the Democratic vice presidential contender during a brief campaign stop. The earliest guests had been waiting patiently through the high temperatures and lack of shade for several hours just to get a glimpse of the Delaware senator.
Biden by the rules.
After honoring the Indiana political figures who introduced him, Joe Biden managed to make friends with the Kentuckians in the crowd who came from just over the river when he made a reference to J.B. Holmes and the Ryder Cup.
My Lord, can those Kentucky boys hit a ball? And I want to tell you, look, folks.
In one of several campaign stops made by Barack Obama's running mate, the vice presidential hopeful talks about the economy. He says focus needs to be shifted back to the plight of the middle class.
Instead of excessive tax breaks for the wealthy, Barack and I have proposed to cut taxes for 95% of Americans who draw a paycheck, and that's a guarantee.
Biden says the Democratic tax cuts are friendlier to working-class Americans and seniors. Of the current budget crisis, the senator says an independent oversight committee should closely monitor spending on Wall Street financiers, and that American taxpayers should benefit as investors to whatever taxpayer money gets spent on fixing the economic situation.
The American people should not be spending one dime, not one thin dime, to reward the CEOs on Wall Street. Ladies and gentlemen, this must change.
In regard to the housing market collapse, Senator Biden said foreclosure wasn't just an economic problem, but also a deeply rooted emotional issue for American families.
It means turning to your son or your daughter and saying you got to empty the bedroom money. It means you can't come back to the neighborhood. You can't play in the same ball club.
The VP hopeful didn't spare the McCain-Palin campaign. He later attacked his opponents on being too similar to incumbent George W. Bush, the person on whom he places blame for national disparity.
On the war, name me one single solitary fundamental difference that he has with President George W. Bush. And then tell me, if you're not going to change any policies, how the next 4 years would be any better than the last 8 years. Folks, we've seen this movie before. And folks, you all know the sequel is always worse than the original.
Biden also drew attention to his approach in using renewable energy as an alternative to oil dependence. The senator compared his plan with John McCain's support in giving oil companies $40 billion more in tax breaks, along with President Bush's $30 billion. Joe Biden says together that money could instead set the nation on the right track toward renewable sources.
Imagine if we spend $70 billion on renewable energy, creating green jobs, putting people to work, wind.
Kentucky's lieutenant governor was one of many who came from the bluegrass to see Biden. After being asked about an anti-coal comment made by Joe Biden earlier this week, which was contradicted in his most recent speech, Dan Mangiardo says critics shouldn't take things out of context. Rather, he adds the Obama-Biden energy plan actually cites clean coal as an environmentally sound source of power.
That doesn't mean get rid of coal. That means use technology to eliminate all the nitrogen and all the sulfur and all the bad particles that get into our atmosphere, and to capture the carbon. And if we do that, coal has a bright future for a long time, and it satisfies our need for energy, and it improves the economy. So that's the Obama plan.
Thank you.
Reporting for News Center, I'm Carl Gibson.